Welcome to the Lake Show, where you can find out what's going on in and around Lake Loudoun. This show is brought to you by the Fort Loudoun Lake Association, a nonprofit environmental conservation organization that keeps Fort Loudoun Lake safe, clean, and fun. I'm Angela Howard, the Executive Director of Fort Loudoun Lake Association, and I work with zone managers and an in-house scientist who remove trash and debris daily, educate our community on pollution prevention, and monitor stormwater and the health of our streams. And today I'm very happy to introduce Jason Cassell of Dockside Detailing. And he's going to tell us exactly what that is, Dockside Detailing.
Yes, we are a marine electronics and detailing service. We are in Knoxville, Tennessee, and our services are completely mobile.
Ah, so that means if you're out there and something's happening and you're in the middle of the river, you'll come help them?
We can. More or less, though, more of our customers are at marinas or their boats at their house on a dock, and we go there for cleaning services and electrical services. Not too much towing or rescue on the water.
Sea tow would do that.
Yeah, more maintenance stuff, yeah.
Oh, that's great. How long have you been, or you're the president of your organization? So
I am. We started in 2007,
Oh.
mainly just as a detailing company.
Mm-hmm.
The electronics came later, kind of built up small over time, got some certifications and more knowledge based on that equipment and installed those.
Are you mostly working on motorboats?
Mostly power, yes.
Yeah, I can't
Not
imagine
too much sail.
paddle boats with a
No.
boom blaster or whatever that is.
No, they need quite a bit of batteries and to
I
power
just
it.
can't
so.
imagine a paddler, paddleboarder out
No.
there jamming out. Although I think that'd be a good idea. You might
It
wanna
would
offer
be,
it. Yeah.
but I don't know about the weight issue. So
Oh, that's funny. So where are you from, Jason?
I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee. So I was
Born
born
and
and
raised?
raised here. Yes, I was actually born in South Knoxville
Oh.
and have moved. I went to Bearden High School in West Knoxville, and since then I've worked at West Marine part-time, and then I started my business part-time and moved into it full-time.
So have you always been on the river? This lovely Fort Loudoun Lake?
I have. I've always been on Fort Loudoun. Now, we do offer services to Watts Bar, Cherokee, Douglas, Norris, all the East Tennessee lakes, but our main focus is Fort Loudoun Lake.
I'm talking about you. You as a kid.
Oh,
Did you
yeah.
play on the river or in the river?
I did, but I've been on Norris. I mean, I've been on all of East Tennessee's lakes. So.
Well, then I guess the next pertinent question would be, how do you feel in comparison to Norris and all those other lovely lakes?
Yeah.
Is our lovely Lake Loudoun compared to trash, debris, and all that kind of stuff? We are a different lake than
It is
Norris.
different. I mean, it is a river system versus a landlocked lake, so that brings its own challenges in.
You can elaborate on that, because I'm not so sure that the audience or people that are on the lake that complain about all that trash and debris really know it's a natural occurrence when it's a river habitat, like you said.
That's correct. So everything flows to it more naturally. Whereas your big landlocked lakes, have multiple tributaries and typically, don't fluctuate like your river does, as far as your current, I should say.
And also the shoreline levels, which have been crazy lately.
They have very sporadic, up and down.
Yeah, and it's the lowest. I know my zone managers say it's the lowest they've seen it in years. That last week when it was down like an extra foot.
Yes. My office was actually almost on ground, so it was very low.
Where's your office?
It is at Fox Road Marina.
Aha, so you have a floating office.
Yes.
Like I do at
Yes.
Volunteer Landing. Yeah, First Creek Boom was actually on land.
Wow.
That means that First Creek wasn't even flowing into the river, which is rare.
Yeah.
And I talked to TVA today, and I asked them, I was like, what the heck? And they said, yeah, we were getting ready for all this rain. There was a big storm system.
Yeah.
They have to look really wide and protect us.
Yeah.
Really, and protect Chattanooga from getting flooded. But anyway, going back. So, you're a river guy.
I am.
Yeah? So what have you done on the river as your enjoyment? Not work, your enjoyment.
My enjoyment would be to take a cruise down the river, have dinner, and come back. Or, stay out, anchor up in a cove and relax. Water sports. So pretty much every aspect. I also enjoy fishing, but it takes too much time.
I heard that. Your friend told me that you're an avid fisherman.
Yes.
So being an avid fisherman, I wrote for the Metropulse this year as Lady of the Lake, and one of the articles I had to write was about fishing in our lake and how I guess with the levels that went up so much this summer with all the rain, it brought in cold water. And is it bass or trout? Who out of those fish love the cold water and go deep?
Well, bass typically don't like change. So if it's high water, low water, temperature, it makes them very unpredictable. So it's harder to catch and predict where they will be. Smallmouth bass do like cold water and are more active during it. But for a fisherman's standpoint, you like predictability. So if you go out Friday and catch them in whatever hole or whatever spot, you can go back Saturday and be able to catch them. So
You didn't have that this summer, did you?
no, it was very. I actually did a fishing tournament that left from Fort Loudoun Canal, and at 7 a.m. I was a co-angler, so I was holding on for dear life, going 70 miles per hour down the lake, and I was literally scared to death because there was so many logs that we had to turn around, and the guy that was driving, he just put it to the floor and didn't really care. But there was a couple times we had some pretty good knockers.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest problems. So first of all, you know, we've established with your knowledge of the river system that it is a river system. So it's going to be natural debris. There's going to be stuff falling into the river all the time just based on things dying and falling in. And then also the erosion and this up and down with the TVA, but also with the big boats that come through and cast waves. All things we'd like to change, which won't change. So we have to get used to the debris. And my guys are out there every day, 6 days a week. And you said you didn't know about us, that's interesting because a lot of people don't, where our awareness is getting bigger and bigger. But I'm curious, when did you find out about us? Just now?
No, I've seen the logo. I've heard of some fundraising events.
Right.
But I never really, I guess, put the association with the people that are out in boats collecting debris and trying to protect the environment was really the same association. So it, you know, in some areas of the lake, I see a very large presence. In other parts, I see hardly any. So
truly, and that's a funding issue, which I'd love to let our audience know that they can go to our website, FLLAKE, Flake, 2 L's, .org, and they can hit donate now because every dollar goes to our guys out there in those boats. And we, by the way, have 4 boats, and they're at Volunteer Landing, Concord Marina, Willow Point, and down at the dam, but we only have enough funding for 1 guy and a half. So that's a big plea for these people. And we do volunteer events, so we can take one guy's salary and make it into 15 people in one day. But again, that debris is going to come. Now, trash, that's a different story. That's based on a lot of the commercial and residential conglomeration or the density around in the city. We'd love to see less of that, and we are actually seeing less of it. I mean, our booms are catching it, but the fact that we still have a lot of trash just means that it's our culture, which is another awareness issue, right?
yes.
So it sounds like we've got a branding problem because you don't know what Fort Loudoun Lake Association actually cleans up and is environmental.
That's correct.
So finding out about us, and you've got this business that I would imagine is based on the draw and the appeal of the river. Am I right about that?
That is very correct.
So you had a love for the river. You started working for West Marine, great organization nationwide. I personally have used them being on a sailboat, you know, out in the islands. You know, they're great people. So that was a good background. Then you come back to your hometown, or you're in your hometown, and now you have the river, and you know very well how important a clean river is, or at least an appealing river. What can you say about that, an appealing river?
Well, the appealing aspect is people aren't going to go out and enjoy their recreation in something that's not appealing.
Exactly.
So people go to get away on the river and enjoy their time on the river. If it's less enjoyable, they're not going to go do it as often. If they don't use their boat as often, I don't get to clean it as often.
Right.
So, I mean, I have seen this past year I could definitely see a decline in people using their boats. And that was, you know, you could go out in the main channel and almost guaranteed you're going to hit a log if you're not careful. And going out after night was nearly impossible. I mean, I went to dinner at Calhoun's down at the dam, you know, left from Concord Public Launch, and drove down there, and we had dinner and come back. You're coming back at night, and it wasn't too enjoyable hitting a couple logs, and
Oh my.
it just wasn't pleasant. So
Yeah, it can be good for the service departments and people who
Yes.
sell props, but I don't think that's why people boat around here, is to replace their props. Yeah, it was a bad year for that, and we did the best we could. Again, with more funding, we could do better. Trash and debris. Now, what about water quality? You've been around this